Russian SKS here, or the SKS 45, imported by KBI Imports. This is back in the 90s. Obviously, KBI Imports does not exist anymore. And the SKS, of course, a lot of people have the SKS. It's been imported throughout the 90s and the 80s, of course. We haven't really seen them imported as of late here in the U.S. And of course, this is a very popular rifle throughout the world. So a little bit of history on the SKS. A lot of you guys probably maybe already know it, or maybe some of you don't. But I'll do a video later on of the main differences between the SKS and the AK-47. Which one's better and why. I'll go really in depth, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about this SKS right here, or the SKS 45 by KBI Imports. So the SKS 45 obviously was mass produced in 1945. Unfortunately, 2 years later, not really unfortunately, but 2 years later, the adoption of the AK-47 came out by Kalashnikov. Now, there are some similarities between the two, but the major differences between the two obviously are the magazine and the ease of field strip for the AK-47, and number 3 would be select fire mode. The SKS was only semi-automatic. So let's get down to kind of why would you have an SKS. Back in the 90s, these things were cheap. 200 bucks, probably less than that, 100 to 150 when we could get them to Rinkos. And of course now the Russian SKSs are very, very desirable. This particular one is a re-arsenal from the Tula factory. As you can see, the top cover is 1953. The stock is 1954. When the stock has been, of course, down, redone, the Russian red, which is really nice. You have a blade bayonet here on the Russians. And of course, your original sling there. This gun feeds some stripper clips, which are kind of a pain in the butt, to be honest with you. And this magazine is very tight on this particular one, and it's really hard to feed this magazine. And unfortunately, the magazine isn't reliable. It will not feed the 10th round. Now, a lot of you guys might say, man, that's crappy. So let me, my sling got caught there. A lot of you guys are like, well, that's crappy, man. Like this doesn't function properly. It doesn't work. And basically, what I could do is just pop this, just replace this magazine. Whenever you get these re-arsenaled SKSs, you don't really know what you're going to get, but the bore's great on it, and it's pretty accurate. So, in terms of operation, I'm going to show you, this is your safety here. That's safety up, fire's down. Trigger pull on this thing is absolutely terrible. It's a military firearm, so got a lot of take up there, and then your reset. Pretty long right there. So it's not obviously a match grade weapon. If you pull this up here, your top cover comes out, the bolt comes out, and then if you pull this up, all this gas tube comes out here. Now, if you guys have AKs, basically what Kalashnikov did was he simplified all of that, combined all of this into one. With the SKS, you have to have this top cover on for it to function, because your spring right here is under tension, so you have to have that. Your rear sight graduates up to 1,000 meters. Obviously, for a 7.6239, that is crazy. You'll probably never get there. So, a little bit about the SKS. I just want to kind of go into why you would have some of the things, or an SKS over an AK. I personally grew up with an SKS. I learned how to shoot an SKS before an AK, and the collector standpoint, especially now, is more real than it was in the 90s. In the 90s, SKSs were so cheap, and parts were abundant that a lot of people bought the SKSs. And you can put the 20 round, 30 round detachable box mags in them. Most of the time, they're not very reliable on aftermarket ones. So, but they do have the Norinco SKSs, the Type 84s, that were converted to take AK-47 mags. Those things are worth a ton of money now. I mean, a ton, like $800, and a lot of guys are buying those. Pretty cool collector item. So, I think the philosophy of use for this gun is more or less, in my opinion, just a collector's piece at this point. They are fun to shoot. I'm not gonna lie, they are fun to shoot, and they're a piece of history, really. I mean, this gun was so important to the development of the AK-47 by Kalashnikov. This gun needed to be produced for AK-47 to be available and used worldwide. Of course, the disadvantages of this gun. This is why this gun obviously lost all of its steam in 1947. Limited round count, 10 rounds. Stripper clip fed, which is up here on the top, and no select fire capability. Obviously, the AK-47 select fire capability, detachable 3-round magazine. Obviously, the sights on both the AK and SKS are the same, right there. Now, the good news is for the SKS, there's a lot, of course, aftermarket parts, which is great. They're fun project guns. This one in particular, I'm not going to obviously start stripping down and doing stock work on or anything. This will stay the way it is because, as of right now, it's a collector's piece anymore. Especially the Russians. The Russians are more desirable than any other SKS out there, and I'm actually testing another SKS right now that I bought, and it was awful. It's like a rust bucket. So I did some upgrades to try to modernize it, so I'll show you that down the road. That's been a fun one. Like I said, leatherweight AK, and like I said, had to be done. So going to accuracy with this gun, I really only have 2 targets for you guys. Again, open sight, it's a little bit harder to put optics and everything on this gun. So what I did was had a Bushnell TRS-25, and I actually subbing some video right now of me replacing this gas tube with a Tapco gas tube. Had to do a lot of work with that, but just put a little micro red dot on it just to kind of speed up the accuracy, transitional shooting, everything with this gun, as opposed to using the iron sights. And the top cover, the gas tube obviously isn't the greatest place for an optic because you have a lot of play there. But this is what I grouped at 100 yards. Basically, just about the same. AKs are actually pretty accurate now, especially US produced ones. When that gas tube is obviously rattling around, you're not going to be able to center every single time. But I got some decent hits here in 10 round shot group. Of course, it's hard to see at target at 100 yards. This was some Red Army standard stuff. Pulled by me down there, and again right there. Like I said, the trigger is not great. So, if you guys are in the market for just a collector gun, kind of a fun gun to shoot, the SKS is still reasonably priced right now. The Russians are going up in price, so be mindful of that because these are not imported anymore from Russia. So, cool collector gun. I think everyone should at least have one. This is a part of history, especially if you guys like the AKs. So, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.